I never thought it would come to this. I've been sitting on this for hours now, trying to make sense of what just happened. But no matter how many times I replay it, the conclusion is always the same. I'm done. 8 months. That's how long she's been living here, in my house. It's not like we moved in together the usual way, buying furniture, blending our lives slowly. No, it was more like a quick decision, made out of kindness and a desperate desire to help. She was paying $1,400 a month for a tiny studio apartment. Every time we talked, she complained about rent. Complained about not having enough money. It sounded like she was drowning. So, I suggested she move in. I figured she could save some money, get on her feet. We didn't need rent. I already owned the place outright. The deal was simple, $600 a month for utilities and groceries. I thought it was fair. First month. Fine. She paid up, no complaints. Second month, a bit of a delay. She asked if she could pay me next week instead. Tight month, she said. Sure, I said. No big deal. But by the 6th month, I realized something wasn't right. Her payments, almost non-existent. The $600 she owed. Barely paid. She'd given me maybe $2,000 in total for 6 months. That should have been $600. But I stopped asking. Didn't want to seem petty. Meanwhile, she was living her best life. Takeout 3 times a week. New clothes almost every weekend. Her nails were always done, and Amazon packages arrived every other day. And yet, she couldn't even keep up with $600 a month for shared expenses. It was frustrating. Every time I asked her about it, she'd shrug it off. Like it wasn't important. The tension was building in me. It was that moment last Tuesday night that did it. I was doing dishes, which, for the record, I had cooked and cleaned up after again. I looked over at her. Sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone. Hi, can you help me clean up? I asked, already irritated. She didn't even look up. I'm tired, had a long day, she muttered. Maybe I would have helped if you didn't act like such a control freak about the kitchen. She shot back, her voice flat. The words hit me like a slap. I froze. I didn't know what to say. Me, a control freak, over asking her to wash 3 dishes. I couldn't believe it. You offered to cook, she added. I didn't ask you to. I clenched my jaw. I cook every night. Because you never do. There it was. The truth finally slipped out. She stood up, face turning red. This is exactly why I need my own space. You're always monitoring what I do. Always complaining. I was done with it. Done with her excuses. You live here rent-free, and you don't contribute. I'm not complaining. I'm asking for basic partnership. But she wasn't hearing me. I pay $600 a month. Her voice was dripping with disdain. I've paid maybe $2,000 in 8 months. My mortgage is $1,800 plus utilities, plus the groceries you eat. You're getting a massive discount, and you're acting like I'm the problem. Her face turned to stone. The silence between us was thick. She looked at me like I had just betrayed her. I can't believe you're keeping score. That's so toxic. I was stunned. The word hit me like a punch to the gut. Toxic. She was calling me toxic for asking her to share the load. For asking her to contribute when she was clearly capable. Fine, I said, turning away. You want to walk away from toxic men? I'm not stopping you. She grabbed her phone and stormed off to the bedroom, slamming the door behind her. The sound echoed in the house, louder than anything else. I stood there for a moment, staring at the sink. I was pissed. But I wasn't going to beg her to stay. Not after everything. Not after all the months of bending over backward for someone who couldn't even pay a fair share. Around 11 p.m., I went to bed. She was already there, probably pretending to sleep. But I couldn't. I couldn't stop thinking about what she'd said. About how she called me toxic for wanting her to step up. She had no idea what it was like for me, dealing with her behavior every day. I pulled the covers up, but sleep wouldn't come. My mind raced. And then I saw the notification. The Facebook post. I opened the app slowly, my stomach tightening as I saw the words. Sometimes you have to walk away from toxic men who keep score of every little thing and make you feel guilty for existing. The comments were already flooding in. Friends, family, everyone agreeing with her. You deserve better. Don't let him treat you like that. I stared at the screen. There was no going back now. She'd made me the villain. She'd turned me into the bad guy for wanting equality in the relationship. I sat there, watching the likes and comments rack up. My coffee had gone cold, but I didn't care. Something inside me snapped. She wanted to walk away from toxic men. Fine. I liked the post. I commented, I agree. Sometimes you really do need to walk away. Then, just to make sure she understood, I did something I knew I'd never take back. I got up, walked to the garage, and found her suitcases. I started packing. I could hear her moving around in the bedroom, probably pacing, getting ready to come out and confront me. The tension was thick in the air as I continued packing her things, folding her clothes and stuffing them into the suitcases. Part of me was already thinking about how absurd this all was, how far we'd fallen, how something as simple as asking her to help clean up had turned into this war. I heard the door open. Her footsteps were loud as she crossed the floor, and I didn't need to look up to know she was seething. "What are you doing?" she demanded, her voice cracking. I kept folding, trying to stay calm, but the anger that had been bubbling up all night finally found its way out. "I'm helping you walk away. You said you wanted to leave. I'm just giving you a head start." There was a pause. I could hear her breathing, like she couldn't believe what was happening. "Are you serious right now?" she asked, almost in disbelief. I turned around slowly, meeting her wide-eyed gaze. Her face was red, her lip trembling like she was trying not to cry. "You posted that you needed to walk away. I'm making it easy for you," I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. She stepped back, shaking her head. "You can't just kick me out like this. I've been living here for months." I threw her a look, not bothering to hide the coldness in my eyes. "You haven't been living here, you've been freeloading. You've barely paid anything. Not even half of what you promised." She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Her eyes flickered between the suitcase in my hands and my face, trying to piece together what was happening. "You can't do this to me," she whispered, a crack in her voice. "I don't have anywhere to go." I clenched my jaw. "Not my problem. You wanted to walk away from a toxic situation. Well, I'm helping you. I'm giving you a deadline 6 p.m. to get your things. After that, I'm donating it all." She stood there, her hands shaking as she gripped the doorframe. "You're really ending our relationship over this." I took a deep breath, trying to keep my emotions in check, but it was hard. The past few months, hell. The entire time we'd been living together, it had all been building up to this moment. "I'm ending it because you've used me. You've barely paid your share. And then you have the nerve to call me toxic when I ask you to contribute. This isn't about dishes. It's about everything you've done to avoid taking responsibility." She took a step toward me, desperation in her eyes. "This is insane. You can't just throw me out like this." I stood up, glaring down at her, holding her suitcase in my hands. "I'm not throwing you out. You made the choice when you decided to post that bullshit about me online. You made me the villain. Now I'm playing by your rules. This is what happens when you publicly humiliate someone." Her face twisted with frustration. "You're making this 1,000 times worse." "I didn't mean it like that." "No," I shot back, "you meant it exactly like that. You wanted to paint me as the villain, so I'm giving you exactly what you want." The silence hung in the air like a weight. She just stared at me, her face a mixture of hurt and disbelief. She opened her mouth to speak again, but I cut her off. "Get your stuff," I said, voice firm. "I'm done. You've had 8 months to pay, and you've done nothing but take advantage. I'm not your bank. I'm not your personal chef. I'm not your free ride anymore." She started crying, right there in front of me. Tears streamed down her face, her shoulders shaking as she tried to choke back the sobs. I felt a knot in my stomach, but I pushed it down. I couldn't let myself feel bad for her. Not after everything. "Where am I supposed to go?" she whispered through her tears. I didn't answer. I just turned and went to the garage, dragging the suitcases with me. She followed, walking slowly, as though she couldn't believe this was happening. I opened the garage door and set the suitcases down on the driveway. I arranged them neatly, like I was preparing for a trip. She stood in the doorway, staring at her things. Her phone buzzed with notifications, probably from her friends, her family. She was probably already getting sympathy from them, casting me as the bad guy. It didn't matter. I took out my phone, snapped a picture of the suitcases, and posted it to Facebook. "Start walking," I captioned. I tagged her. The moment I hit post, my phone started buzzing. I couldn't bring myself to care. "Scott," she said, her voice breaking, "this is insane. Please don't do this." I turned to face her, my expression cold. "You made your choice. I'm just following through. You wanted to walk away from toxic men, right? I'm just giving you a push." She stared at me, disbelief still on her face. Then she turned, running back into the house to grab the rest of her things. I just stood there, watching her, feeling nothing but a sense of finality. This was it, the end of the road. The notification on my phone buzzed again. This time, I felt the weight of it. I knew what it was before I even looked at the screen. Her post. "Sometimes you have to walk away from toxic men who keep score of every little thing and make you feel guilty for existing." The words hit me like a slap. I opened it, my stomach tight. It was exactly what I expected. Her version of the story twisted into something unrecognizable. In her mind, I was the villain, the toxic one. I couldn't believe it. After everything I'd done for her, she was out here painting me as the bad guy, making it look like I was the one who hadn't contributed. I couldn't stop myself. I liked the post. I wanted to let her know I saw it. Then, I commented, "I agree. Sometimes you really do need to walk away." I leaned back in the chair, feeling the rush of vindication. I knew it wasn't over, but in that moment, I felt like I'd taken back a small piece of control. But the second I hit send, I knew things were about to escalate. I didn't have to wait long. My phone buzzed with a text from her. "Did you just comment on my post?" I didn't hesitate. "Yeah, you're right. People should walk away from toxic situations." She replied almost instantly. "That wasn't about you." I couldn't stop the bitterness from spilling over. Funny, it was posted right after our argument, but okay. She didn't text back immediately, but I knew what was coming. It was just a matter of time. I didn't have to wait long before I saw her storm out of the bedroom, phone in hand. She stood in the hallway, staring at me, eyes wide with shock. "You're making this a bigger deal than it is?" She spat, her voice trembling with anger. "Me, I'm just agreeing with your wisdom. I'm going to help you walk away," I said, my voice cold. She stepped toward me, her hands trembling. "What the hell are you talking about?" I didn't even look up as I grabbed her suitcases, one by one, and started dragging them into the living room. She followed me, the panic rising in her voice. "Are you serious right now? You can't just do this." "Oh, I can. You made your bed. I'm just helping you walk away from this toxic situation." Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't care anymore. I had been the one trying to keep things together for months. I had been the one paying for everything, fixing the messes, cleaning up after her. She wanted to act like she was the victim. Fine. Let her. "You're not just throwing me out because of some Facebook post," she said, her voice shaking. "This is insane." "Yeah, maybe it's insane," I replied, feeling the coldness settle into my bones. "But you're acting like you don't owe me anything. You've been living here rent-free, contributing nothing, and then you call me toxic. You think I'm just going to let that slide?" She opened her mouth, but no words came out. She just stood there, staring at me. I finished packing the last of her things into the suitcases and set them down neatly on the floor. "I'm giving you until 6 p.m. to get out. After that, I'm donating it all." Her face twisted with a mix of shock and disbelief. "You're really going to do this to me? Throw me out like garbage?" I stood up and looked her in the eye. "You threw me out publicly when you made me the villain. This is just me responding in kind." She started crying. Full-on, ugly crying. I stood there, watching her, my heart stone cold. I couldn't bring myself to feel sorry for her anymore. She had taken everything from me, my money, my time, my patience, and for what? To make me the bad guy. To act like I was the one who had been taking advantage of her. No. I can't believe you're doing this, she sobbed, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. I didn't answer. I just turned and went to the door. Get your stuff, I said, my voice flat. I'm done with this. No more games. She stood there for a moment, tears streaming down her face, but she didn't move. I grabbed her suitcases and put them in the driveway. Start walking, I muttered under my breath as I snapped a photo of the neatly packed suitcases. I posted it to Facebook with the caption, "Start walking." I tagged her, not caring what came next. The immediate fallout was swift. Her phone buzzed almost immediately, her friends flooding her with messages, calling her, offering support. My phone rang with a few messages, too. People I hadn't talked to in ages, people from her side of the family. Her mom, her sister, everyone started weighing in. But I didn't care anymore. The only thing that mattered now was that I had finally taken control. Her mom arrived by 10:03 a.m. That morning, just like I figured she would. I saw her car pull into the driveway, the tires crunching over the gravel, and my stomach twisted into knots. She got out, looked at the suitcases, and then at me. There was no hello, no what happened. She just went straight into defensive mode. "You should be ashamed of yourself," she said, her voice sharp and accusing. I couldn't even bring myself to speak. I just kept folding the clothes I had pulled from the suitcase, the neat piles of things that used to belong to her daughter. Things I had packed in less than an hour, because she had taken so much from me for far too long. "You really think this is the right way to handle this? You put her things on the driveway like some kind of trash. You can't just throw her out like this," her mom continued, stepping closer, her face a mask of anger. "I didn't throw her out," I said, standing up slowly, staring her down. "I gave her a choice. I'm just helping her walk away from the toxic situation she created." Her mom shook her head, like she couldn't believe what I was saying. "This is over dishes," she asked incredulously. "You're really ending a relationship over some dirty dishes." I took a step toward her, my voice low but steady. "I'm ending it because she's been using me. She's lived here for 8 months, barely paid anything, didn't contribute. And when I ask for basic partnership, help with dishes, paying what she agreed to pay, she calls me toxic. It's not just about the dishes. It's about everything she's done." Her mom crossed her arms, still not convinced. "You're going to throw away 8 months over this." She threw away 8 months by pretending to be a partner when she wasn't. By taking advantage of me, and then turning it all around to make me the bad guy. I saw her mom's expression falter for a second. She opened her mouth to say something, but then she saw me looking at her. It was like something clicked. "Look, I'm talking about this," I said, walking past her, carrying a bag of her daughter's things to the front door. "I've made my decision. She's gone, and that's it, it's done." Her mom followed me, her voice growing more desperate. "You can't just end it like this." She's upset. She's devastated. This isn't how this should go down. I turned to face her, my patience wearing thin. She's upset because she's been caught. She's devastated because I'm not letting her manipulate me anymore. She should have thought about that before she publicly humiliated me and refused to take responsibility for anything. You're breaking her heart. Her mom's voice cracked with emotion. I was done listening to her, so I took another step toward the door. She broke my heart a long time ago. But I didn't realize it until she made me the villain. I could see her mom wasn't going to give up. She didn't get it. She still thought her daughter was the victim. But I wasn't interested in playing this game anymore. I was finished. Her mom made another attempt. You need to let her come back inside. She can't be out here like this. I stopped and looked at her, meeting her eyes for the first time. She has until 6:00 p.m. to get her stuff. After that, I'm donating everything, I'm not negotiating. She doesn't have anywhere to go, her mom said, voice shaking. She's been living here for months. You can't just. She's had 8 months to save, 8 months to contribute, and she hasn't. She's had her chances. Her mom was fuming now, but she knew I wasn't going to budge. I wasn't backing down. She opened the door and walked out, back to her car. But before she left, she turned around one last time, her voice trembling with anger and disbelief. I can't believe you're doing this. You're ruining her life. I didn't say anything. I just went back to the suitcases. She'd made her choice. She could deal with it now. The rest of the day was a blur. I heard her mom on the phone, calling people, but it didn't matter. The messages came flooding in. Her friends, her family, some of my own friends. A lot of them took her side, of course. They didn't know the full story. They only saw a post. A few of my real friends, though, they got it. They knew what had really been happening. They'd seen it firsthand. And that made it all the easier to keep going. By them, I had changed the locks on the house. The $80 I spent felt like nothing. It was worth it to finally feel like this was mine again, to not have to worry about her anymore. At 3:00 p.m., I sent a text to her. Simple. No drama or games. You missed the deadline. Your stuff is donated. I didn't care what her response was. But I didn't expect the next thing to happen. Her sister showed up around 6:00 p.m. I was in the kitchen, cleaning up after the mess of the day. I saw her through the window, standing on the porch, looking ready for a fight. I sighed and walked to the door. What do you want? She left stuff behind. She needs her makeup from the bathroom, her sister said, arms crossed, looking like she was ready to go to war. I didn't even blink. No. She had until 6:00 p.m. I told her if she missed it, it was gone. Her sister glared at me. You can't just donate someone's belongings. She abandoned them, I said calmly. She had a deadline. She missed it. Her sister stepped forward, trying to push past me. She's not asking for much. Just a few things. I stood firm. She can't come back. She had her chance. Her sister didn't like that. She took another step forward. You're being unreasonable. She walked away from this. Not me, I said, my voice cold. Now you need to leave. Or I'll call the cops. Her sister's face went red, but she didn't argue. She turned around, walking away in a huff. I closed the door, feeling the finality of it. This was over. And somehow it felt like the only thing that made sense. The following morning, I was cleaning out the bedroom when I found the papers. At first, it was just a random pile of stuff, receipts, old bills, things she had left behind. But then something caught my eye. A few bank statements, credit card bills. At first, I just skimmed them. She had 4 maxed out credit cards. All of them were overdue. I couldn't believe it. She'd been here for 8 months, and I never really thought about what her financial situation was. I mean, she was living rent-free, barely contributing. But I didn't know it was this bad. I kept flipping through the papers, and that's when I found it, the student loans. $31,000 in student loan debt. She made about $42,000 a year, take home pay around $200 a month after taxes. And she had been struggling to pay $1,400 a month for her old studio apartment. But now she was living here, paying $600 a month for shared expenses, and still not managing it. I felt sick to my stomach. She wasn't trying to get out of debt. She was using me as a financial crutch. That's why she had moved in. Not because she loved me, but because she had nowhere else to go. I sat on the edge of the bed, holding the papers in my hands. She had been so good at hiding it all, her financial struggles, her debt, her plans. She had been living the high life, acting like everything was fine, while I was left picking up the pieces. And I had let her do it. But it wasn't just the bills that hit me. It was the notebook. It was tucked behind the papers, as though she'd meant to hide it. A small, unassuming notebook, with pages full of her writing. I should have thrown it away. I should have respected her privacy. But I was too far gone. I flipped through the pages, scanning her words, and that's when I found the entry from June. Need to figure out how to stay here long term without paying as much. Maybe suggest we get married. Then it's half mine anyway. I could feel my blood start to boil. She had been planning this. She had been using me to get my house, to secure a future without contributing a dime. She was never here for the right reasons. She was never here to build a partnership. She was here for the financial stability I could provide. The next page was worse. He's so annoying about money. Acts like DA 600 is nothing when he owns the whole house. Need to train him to stop asking. I stopped reading. My hand was shaking, and I felt like I couldn't breathe. All of this time, all of these months, I had been so blind. She wasn't just taking advantage of me financially, she was manipulating me. She was playing me like a fool, and I had let her. I took out my phone, took pictures of every page, every word. I needed evidence. I needed to remember this. I wasn't going to let her rewrite the story. She wanted to paint me as the villain. Fine. Let's see how she likes it when the truth comes out. I sent the pictures to myself and kept the original. If this went any further, I'd need them. The rest of the day was a blur. The lawyer's letter arrived that afternoon, and everything I had feared started to come true. She was trying to sue me. A demand for compensation, an illegal eviction. She wanted reimbursement for unpaid rent and the supposed value of the items I had donated. Then, there was the emotional distress charge, $10,000. I couldn't help it. I laughed. I didn't laugh because it was funny. I laughed because of how absurd it was. She was trying to sue me for everything she hadn't contributed over the past 8 months. She had the nerve to demand money after everything she had done. After everything I had put up with. I called my lawyer, explained the situation, and sent over the demand letter. He was quiet for a moment, then laughed, too. "This is garbage," he said. "She has no case. You can't get emotional about it. You've been clear, you have proof of what she owes you. The rest is nonsense." I felt a little better. Just a little. The conversation turned into a discussion of next steps. How to respond, what to do if she kept pushing. But in my head, I couldn't stop thinking about everything she had tried to hide. That notebook. The bills. The way she had played me. I wasn't going to let her get away with it. Later that evening, I found myself sitting on the couch, my phone buzzing in my hand. The messages kept coming in. Most of them were from her side of the family, her mom, her sister, crying about how I was destroying her and how cruel I was. One of my old friends sent me a message, "Dude, that post was harsh. You really kicked her out." I took a deep breath, thinking about everything I had found. I wasn't angry anymore. Just tired. Tired of trying to make it work with someone who never cared about me. I typed a response to my friend. "You don't know the whole story. She didn't care about me. She was using me the whole time. I didn't expect any sympathy from them. I wasn't looking for it anymore. I had to face the fact that I had been taken for a ride. But I wasn't going to let her rewrite what happened. I wasn't going to be the one left with the guilt. I was done feeling guilty. And then I saw it. Her mom called again. I picked up. "Scott, I need to talk to you. This whole thing, it's not right. You need to give her another chance." I knew what she was going to say. "You don't understand," I said, cutting her off. "She used me, and now she's trying to turn this around on me. I've had enough." Her mom was quiet for a moment. "She's your family, Scott. You can't just throw her out." "She's not my family," I said. "She never was." I hung up. It was over the legal threats, the emotional blackmail, the guilt trips. They could all go to hell. I was moving on. The days after the confrontation felt like a slow burn, each one dragging longer than the last. But it wasn't just the silence that weighed on me. It was the fact that I knew what was coming next. Her lawyer's letter had landed like a bomb, and I couldn't escape the feeling that the fallout was only just beginning. I spent the next morning reading the letter over and over, trying to wrap my head around it. The demand dar 10,000. She wanted compensation for unpaid rent, the supposed value of the items I had donated, and emotional distress. I almost couldn't stop myself from laughing. Dar 10,000. I could barely keep my mind from spinning. The absurdity of it all. She had lived here for 8 months, barely paid anything, and now she was trying to hit me with this. I almost wanted to scream at how ridiculous it was. But I didn't. Instead, I picked up the phone and called my lawyer. The conversation was short but enough to make me feel like I wasn't losing my mind. He wasn't concerned. Not in the slightest. "Scott," he said, "this is garbage. She has no case. You have proof of everything. Her claims are baseless. And emotional distress. That's laughable." I needed to hear that. I needed to know that this wasn't something I was just imagining, that I wasn't the one who had lost control. "You're doing the right thing," my lawyer added. "She's just bluffing. We'll respond, deny everything, and we'll make it clear you have every right to change the locks. It's all perfectly legal. Don't let her scare you." I hung up the phone feeling a little lighter, but still not fully free. I had done what I needed to do, but the mental weight of what was coming next was still heavy. The legal threats, the emotional blackmail, none of it would stop until I put an end to it. That afternoon, I received a call from one of my old friends. He had seen the Facebook post and called to check in. I could feel his judgment in his tone, even though he was trying to hide it. Man, that was harsh. Throwing her stuff out on the driveway like that. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my cool. "You don't know the whole story. She didn't care about me. She used me. She took advantage of me for 8 months. But he cut himself off before he could say anything else." "I get it, man. I do. I just didn't think you'd go that far. I didn't want to explain myself to him. I didn't need to. You don't have to get it. It's over." The next day, I walked into the living room and found another text message from her. This time, she wasn't trying to guilt-trip me. She was trying to turn the tables again. "Scott, I've been thinking about everything. I was upset when I posted that. But you don't have to be this cruel. I need some time to figure things out." I stared at the message for a while, trying to make sense of it. She was asking for time, but that's not what she was doing. She was trying to pull me back in. She thought if she just played the victim card one more time, I would cave. But I wasn't the same guy anymore. I didn't reply. I wasn't going to get sucked back into her game. I had given her enough time. She had had 8 months to make things right, to be a partner, and she chose to take everything I gave her without even trying. A few hours later, the lawyer's office called again. My lawyer had sent a response, denying all of her claims. It was a standard reply, but it felt like a weight lifted off my chest. He said she had no proof of any rent payments she had made. She had no right to claim the items I'd donated. And the emotional distress part was laughable. That's when I got the real answer. Her lawyer was backing off. It was over. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. No more threats. No more false claims. She had no case, and I wasn't going to let her drag me down with her. But even with that small victory, there was one more thing looming over me, her mom. That evening, my phone rang again. It was her. I wasn't surprised. "You need to stop all this," she said, her voice calm, but laced with that same frustration I had heard so many times before. "You've hurt her, Scott. She's in pieces." I closed my eyes, the weight of her words landing like a punch. "She broke me long before this happened," I said. "She used me for 8 months. And now she's trying to make me feel guilty. I'm done. I'm not going back." Her mom didn't argue this time. She was silent for a moment, as if weighing her words carefully. "She needs time, Scott. You need to let her have it. She's hurting." "I've let her have plenty of time," I replied, my voice steady, but with a firmness I hadn't realized I had. "And I'm not going to keep giving her chances to manipulate me. Not anymore." I could hear the defeat in her mom's voice as she sighed. "Fine. But you're still breaking her heart." "No," I said, more to myself than to her. "I'm fixing my heart," and that was the end of it. The phone call ended, and I sat there for a while, feeling the weight of it all. There would be no more guilt trips. No more manipulation. This was the final chapter, and I had closed the book. I stood up and walked to the door, looking out at the driveway where her things still sat, waiting for her to pick them up. I had done what I needed to do. The rest of the world could think whatever they wanted. The truth was mine now. I was done. The silence in the house was deafening. After everything that had happened, I couldn't help but feel like the calm after a storm. The worst part was over, or at least that's what I told myself. I'd been through the legal threats, the emotional manipulation, the friends picking sides, and yet, somehow I felt a strange sense of relief. But that relief didn't last long. By the end of the week, the demand letter came. I opened it slowly, knowing exactly what it was before I even glanced at the first line. It was from her lawyer again. The demand had been reduced this time, but it still felt like a slap to the face. 500,000. The letter claimed it was a final offer to settle amicably, but I knew better. She wasn't trying to settle. She was trying to force me into something. Trying to make me feel guilty for something I had every right to do. I didn't even hesitate this time. I forwarded the letter to my lawyer with a simple nota. Respond with everything we have. It didn't take long for my lawyer to get back to me. The response was everything I expected. The claims were dismissed one by one. There was no evidence of rent payments, no documentation of the items she claimed I had stolen. And the emotional distress claim was ridiculous. But there was something about that letter. Something that made me feel like I was at a tipping point. I wasn't sure if it was the sheer audacity of her to keep coming at me, or the realization that she was still trying to control the situation. But either way, I had to respond in kind. I wasn't backing down. Not now. Her lawyer sent a counter response, dismissing everything, but making one last remark: she intends to file suit if you do not settle. I chuckled. Let her try. I muttered to myself. She's got nothing. The phone calls didn't stop either. Her friends, her family. Even a few of my so-called friends who had sided with her were still texting me. Some were apologizing, others were outright accusing me of being a monster. I couldn't bring myself to care anymore. I had learned one thing in all this: people will choose sides, but it's rarely the side that's right. It's the side that's easiest. The side that doesn't require them to think too much to get the full story. It wasn't that I cared about losing them. It was just the sheer disbelief at how easily people could turn a blind eye when they didn't want to see the truth. The following week, I was still processing everything. I didn't want to focus on the legal drama. It was draining, and honestly, I was just tired. I wasn't sure how long I'd be hearing from her lawyer or her family, but I knew that eventually it would all fade. And when it did, I would have my life back. Then the unexpected happened. One of my friends came by. We hadn't spoken in a while, not since the whole mess started. But he knocked on the door around lunchtime, looking uncomfortable but determined. He handed me a small envelope. I wasn't sure if you'd want to see this, but I thought you should know, he said. I opened it, and what I found inside was a single piece of paper, an official letter from her lawyer. It wasn't a legal threat this time. It was a settlement offer. The offer, for $800 in back rent for the 8 months of partnership. I stared at it for a long time. I almost laughed, but it wasn't funny. It was just absurd. She thought that after everything, after calling me toxic and trying to manipulate me with lies and lawsuits, I was going to give her money. I shook my head. She really thinks I'll just bend over backwards again? Huh, I muttered. I put the letter down and walked to the kitchen, not sure whether to feel disgusted or just numb. This was it. She was still trying to get something out of me. She had never cared about anything but getting her hands on what she could from me. My house, my money, my time. I sent the letter straight to my lawyer. Counter-offered $. Add that if she tries to take this to court, we'll file a counterclaim for unpaid rent, utilities, and groceries. I've got all the proof. I wasn't interested in dragging this out any longer. I was done. By the time the lawyer got back to me, I was already shutting down mentally. I'd grown tired of this. I didn't care about the drama anymore. I didn't care about the friends who had picked sides or the family that had tried to guilt-trip me. All I cared about was closing this chapter and moving on. My lawyer's response came a few days later. We've rejected her claims. If she persists, we'll file a counterclaim. The evidence is on our side. I leaned back in my chair, letting out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. It was over. That was the moment I realized just how much weight I had been carrying. This whole situation, this mess, had consumed me for far too long. I had been tangled up in it, emotionally drained, mentally exhausted, fighting for my dignity, my sense of justice, and for peace. And finally, I had it. The next morning, I woke up to a quiet house. No arguments, no tension, just peace. I hadn't realized how badly I needed it until it was there. And the strange thing, I started feeling like myself again, like the guy I was before she came into my life. No more guilt, no more drama. Just me, my house, and the freedom to move on. It's been 5 weeks since everything went down. 5 weeks since I made the decision to let go and cut the cord on that relationship. I've been living in this house, my house, like I've been reborn. It's quiet, peaceful. No more waking up to passive, aggressive comments or wondering if I was being played, it feels. Right? For the first time in months, I'm not walking on eggshells. I don't have to second-guess every little thing I do. I'm in control again. I never realized how much of myself I had given up until I got it back. Every day, I'm learning what it's like to be Scott again. Not the guy who had to fight to be heard, or the guy who carried someone else's financial and emotional baggage. Just Scott. The guy who used to smile without worrying about what someone else was thinking. The guy who used to walk through the door at the end of the day and feel at peace. That guy's back. The house is quieter now. No more Amazon packages arriving daily. No more fast food containers scattered across the kitchen. It's just me, and it's not lonely. It's comfortable. I'm dating again. It's early, but for the first time in a long while, I'm doing it on my terms. I met someone through a mutual friend. Her name is Laura. She's got her own place, her own career. We go out for coffee. We talk about real things. No drama, no baggage. We split the check without a second thought. It feels good to be in a relationship where I'm not constantly giving more than I'm getting. When she asked about my last relationship, I didn't get into the details. I kept it simple. She wasn't ready to be an equal partner. It ended. That's all. No need to drag her into the past. That chapter is closed. I'm sleeping better now. I'm eating better. I don't have to worry about whether I'm doing enough, giving enough. It's just easier. I don't have to make excuses for someone else's behavior. People keep asking if I regret the way I handled things, if I regret the Facebook post, the suitcases, the public humiliation. And honestly, I don't. I don't regret it. I wouldn't have done anything differently. Sure, it was harsh, but she made it public first. She called me toxic, made me the villain in front of everyone we knew. So, yeah, I responded in kind. I let the world know what she had done to me, and I let her face the consequences. The post about the suitcases. It's still there, still public. And every time someone brings it up, I just share both posts, hers and mine. Let people decide for themselves who the toxic one really was. The comments on the post about the suitcases. They've grown. More people are seeing it now. More people are understanding. There are a lot of people who agree with what I did. Who get it. Who understand that sometimes you have to stand up for yourself, no matter what the world thinks. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not bitter. I'm just done. I don't need to explain myself to anyone. I don't need their validation. I've learned to let go of the things I can't control, and trust me. That has been one of the most freeing things I've ever done. Looking back, I realize how much I gave her. How much I gave to the relationship. But it wasn't reciprocated. She took what I gave, and she took some more, until there was nothing left for me. She used me financially, emotionally, and I let it happen. I didn't see it until it was too late, but now. I'm grateful for the clarity. Grateful that I had the strength to walk away when I did. As for her, I haven't heard from her since the day I changed the locks. I haven't even thought about her much. She's not my problem anymore. But I will never forget what I learned. 1. Don't let anyone live with you without a clear, written agreement, even if you love them. 2. If someone makes you the villain publicly, don't be afraid to defend yourself. Do it on your terms. 3. Pay attention to financial patterns. If someone can't contribute equally when they have the means to, they're choosing not to. 4. When someone shows you they're using you, believe it. Don't make excuses. And 5. Diaries left behind. Fair game. My house is mine again. My life is mine again. I'm not weighed down by guilt or manipulation. I'm free. And that's worth everything. Sometimes people need to face consequences. And that's what happens when you publicly call someone toxic, play stupid games, and win stupid prizes. I'm done. But I'm okay. And that's the most important thing.